welcome to Mindful Mutterings. I'm Chris Maragakis, Essex Anxiety Coach. And I wanted to talk to you this time about boundary setting. Now, lots of people kind of are very apprehensive about boundary setting. It brings out a lot of stress for people. But we all set boundaries. We all need boundaries. But sometimes we need to look at the boundaries that we're setting and see if they're confrontational. And other times we need to look at areas of our life where we need to be putting boundaries in place so that they can help us to take better care of our mental health and our well-being. So why boundaries matter? Firstly, they protect us. We put them in to help us reduce overwhelm, to put a line where we don't want people to cross. You know, all of us are entitled to our personal space. All of us are entitled to manage our time effectively. And it helps us to stop getting ourselves into a position where we're overextending ourselves or overcommitting ourselves because we don't know how to say no. And using boundaries effectively doesn't have to be confrontational. In fact, we don't ever really want confrontation in life because it serves no purpose. It's incredibly stressful and often brings with it more problems than the problem that we were trying to resolve in the first place. But what we do want to do is have some very firm ideas around how we want to be treated, how we value ourselves and our time, and then just gently enforce those when people overstep them. It's also, like I said, to reduce overwhelm so that when we're not feeling that we're constantly being put upon. And also it's to help us manage those relationships where sometimes it's not very equal or we might be taking advantage of. And those limits that we put in place, those boundaries that we put in place, tell other people that we value ourselves, that we respect ourselves, and that while we want them to be in our life or we're happy to engage with them, we will only allow them to go so far. So where boundaries are needed, or how do we know where boundaries are needed? Well, we need to look in our life and see where we're feeling put upon or stressed or exhausted, or maybe where we're feeling resentment, because all of those are clear signs that people are overstepping the mark and that we're not being seen or we're not being heard or we don't feel valued. So that's our first clue as to where boundaries might be needed. Another place to look would be relationships or situations where you feel that it's not equal, like I said, that you're always being put upon, that cause guilt or fear, or you're just really not comfortable with, because that again is a clear indicator that somebody is pushing you outside of something that you're prepared to do, and that it needs to be managed, it needs to be addressed. Now, like I said, boundaries don't need to be hard, fast lines in the sand. It can literally be just learning new ways to give yourself some space to think. So it could be that someone says to you, oh, can you do this for me on Wednesday? And you don't really want to do it. So rather than just turning around and saying no, which can be really awkward and uncomfortable and difficult to do, especially if there's a group of people there, but what you can do, which is completely honest, and don't ever lie to enforce the boundary, because that then causes more overwhelm and anxiety, because it's not who you are and it's not what you want to be doing, and it just brings more problems itself. But come up with something honest that helps to create some space so that you can then choose whether you want to do whatever it is they've asked you to do. So a simple comment like, that sounds great, let me just check my diary, and I'll get back to you. That gives you that opportunity to then come back and say, actually, I can't do Wednesday. Sorry about that. Or maybe I can't do Wednesday if you did want to do it, but I can do Thursday at 5, or whatever it is. But it puts you back in control of your time and organising your well-being. And there's often a fear of setting these boundaries because people don't want to upset other people. They don't want to lose their friendship groups. They don't want to be seen as not working hard enough, or there's so many reasons why people are scared of setting boundaries. But actually, people will respect you more if you put boundaries in place, because everyone can sense when they're taking advantage of someone. And some people don't have I don't want to say moral fibre, but some people are quite happy to take advantage of people to their own end. And they need to be stopped because that's not healthy for you or anybody else. And other people might not realise that they're overwhelming you or taking control of your time, and that's causing you mental health problems. So it's in your own best interest to have those boundaries which are gently reinforced, so that you can continue to enjoy life and give and look after and be with and perform to your best ability. They're not selfish. They are an absolute form of self-care and self-respect. And I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but you cannot give from an empty cup. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't be doing everything or being everything to everyone that you want to be. And start small, start with small, low risk boundary setting, like the one I said with using your time and giving yourself some space to make a decision over whether you wanted to help someone or not, before you start looking at some bigger boundaries that you might potentially feel that need more reinforcing, or that you need more confidence in being able to hold your ground with. Now, other people are probably going to disapprove of you putting boundaries in place because they like things the way they are, and there will be a little bit of to-ing and fro-ing while people adjust to the new you, to the person that is standing up for themselves and, clearly enforcing their boundaries. That's to be expected. Like I say, we don't do it through confrontation. We do it through careful consideration, or maybe it's through open communication. And people will learn. And if they're not happy with the new you and the new way you're behaving, then allow them to fade away, because if they don't want to support and promote your best interests, then they're probably not the best people to have around. And if that relates to family and friends that it's very difficult to extricate yourself from, then maybe it's about managing the amount of time that you spend with them, or the groups that you go out with them, so that you can cushion some of the blow of being around them. So look at how you're arranging your time and the way that you spend time with them. And yeah, like I said, people don't want you to change, but you have absolutely every right to put your interests first. And it's not only that, it is a case that they don't like you changing, because it means that they're going to have to change, and they probably don't want to do that either. Or it might be a situation where you've been put upon so much at work that you're at the point of burnout and you're completely overwhelmed and exhausted. And if you don't change, you're going to be going off on long-term sick. So actually, it's for the company's interest for you to just gently put yourself first. And for situations like that, where you've got an employer who's putting the pressure on you, again, we don't want confrontation. When you get asked to do something, maybe say something along the lines of, yep, I'm happy to do that. Brilliant. I'll go and see where I can fit that in. And then when you've got the time to get back to your desk or your workstation or whatever it is, then it would be a case of just sending a gentle email, very politely worded, that just says, really happy to help with this today. However, I had this and this planned. Can you tell me what you're happy to let me go of, so that I can do this for you? And then you're not making the decision. When it comes to performance management, if you haven't done what you were supposed to have done, you've got a clear trail as to why you haven't done it. And you're putting the managerial decisions back on your manager. You're not being forced to make them. So there's lots of little gentle ways that, like I said, that you can start to reinforce your boundaries. Guilt is another thing that we often feel, that we might be letting people down, or that we promised that we would do something. Well, maybe be a bit more reserved in promising what you're doing. Maybe make sure that you've created an opportunity for you to work out whether you actually want to do something for someone, whether you can actually fit it in to do something for someone, and whether it's in everybody's best interest. Guilt is a useless emotion, really. It doesn't help us in any way, shape or form. And it's because the only reason you're feeling guilty is because someone else is pressuring you to do something that you are uncomfortable with, but you want to please them. And having these boundaries in place helps take away some of the pressure for people pleasing, and will give you more time and opportunity to do the things that matter to you. Because while you're doing everything for everyone else, you're not focusing on the things that are best for you. And it might be that you want to change your life, but there's no time. Maybe you'd like to do a course, maybe you'd like to do arts and crafts, maybe you'd like to get fit. But because you're so used to just helping everybody out, or being the person that everyone goes to, or just taking charge of everything, there's no time left for you to do the things that you want. So putting these boundaries in place, looking at your time management, looking at the relationships around you, looking at your workload, all of that, and working out what is sustainable and positive for you while managing the obligations of everyday life will enable you to free up some time, free up some mental space, and have a little bit more energy. And then all that energy that you're saving can be put towards doing the things that you want, that benefit your life. And that's how you reduce the overwhelm and the underlying feelings of anxiety, because quite often anxiety will come from a dissonance in the brain. So our brain knows what we want and our brain can see that we're not getting it, and it doesn't like that disconnect. And so the more things that you can do proactively to lessen that dissonance, the happier you will be, the less cause there is for stress and overwhelm and exhaustion, which means that in turn there's less likely to be anxiety because you're not overwhelmed. You can see the benefit of your decision making. You get more confident in problem solving and decision making, which makes you more resilient, which again reduces the impact of your emotions and time pressure, and it just helps to reduce the impact of anxiety. And also, of course, you're reclaiming back your life and you're finding ways to have less stress in your life and less irritation and less anger and less guilt, because you're not feeling that other people are putting upon you all the time. And all of that can only benefit your mental health and well-being. And so the benefit of that is, pretty obvious, really. Like I said, it gives you back control of your life. And when we're feeling good about ourselves, and when we're feeling that we can see that we're being strong in the world, and we're managing people effectively, and we're managing our emotions effectively, all of that helps us to become more confident, more outgoing, less anxious, less stressed. And life then seems to flow so much easier, which means that new opportunities come into for us, which means then that we get to experience a fuller, richer life. People are attracted to the energy that we're giving off because we're not harried and stressed and burning out. And so we get groups of people coming to us who want to spend time with us, who want us to be strong and our best selves, because that's what they recognise in them as well. And so the people that don't want what's best for us tend to fade out of our life when we reinforce our boundaries, and we attract the people in that can see us for ourselves and as this stronger person. So I hope that's given you a little insight to the benefit of boundaries. If you'd like any more information, or you just want to ask me a couple of questions or just get in touch, then you can contact me via my website, which is essexanxietycoach.org.uk. If you think someone you know needs to listen to this, then please share it with them, because the more awareness we raise about how we can help ourselves to be less anxious, less stressed and less overwhelmed, the happier we will all be and the healthier we will all be. And thank you very much for listening. I hope you'll join me for the next one. Take care. Bye.